You'll never prove the signature isn't yours, Mara, my brother Derek hisses, lips barely moving while the estate lawyer sorts papers 20 feet away. Dad's vineyard, the stock's already mine. He straightens, all sibling warmth drained from that shark smile. The lawyer clears his throat to announce the will's execution, unaware the real execution happened 5 days ago, when Derek traced my name across blank inheritance papers and filed them with the county clerk. My cousins expect a meltdown. I sip iced water instead, pulse steady, because Derek just confirmed the crime I've suspected since our father's funeral. I'm Mara Lee Clarkson, 34, corporate fraud examiner by trade, reluctant vintner's daughter by blood. Until 2 months ago, my life orbited Chicago's glass skyline, not the rolling hills of the Clarkson family, vineyard back in Sonoma. I flew home only for harvest weekends and Mom's birthday dinners. Then our father, Benjamin Clarkson, died on April 3, my first sacrifice, pausing a promotion chase to settle his estate. Dad's handwritten letter, sealed in wax and tucked inside his study safe, named me executor and equal co-heir with my younger brother, on the explicit condition we preserve the vineyard together for at least 5 years. I promised on the letter's crimson seal. Derek nodded solemnly at the funeral reception, but his eyes glinted like he'd already opened. Now we sit in a mahogany-paneled conference room at Redwood Title and Trust. Relatives watch for fireworks. They know I'm methodical. They know Derek lives for shortcuts. They expect I'll scream when the lawyer presents the revised directives. Derek slipped into the file last week. But I'm calm because calm people document. And I have documented every anomaly since the day Dad's safe showed fresh scratches around the lock. The first anomaly smelled of toner. 3 weeks after Dad's death, Derek emailed a scan of updated partnership transfer forms. The inked date read April 2, one day before the stroke. I requested originals. He claimed the movers lost them. Red flag 1 rippled like a dropped stone. Red flag 2 arrived in the mail. A county-stamped quitclaim deed shifting 80 acres, our most profitable Chardonnay block. To Derek's LLC, my signature sat at the bottom, flawless loops, except my fountain pen bleeds slightly on the downward stroke. This ink didn't. I photocopied the page under UV light, noting uniform pressure, evidence of tracing. Red flag 3 screamed through my credit report, a hard inquiry from Westline Private Bank, where Derek once interned. He'd applied for a $2 million line of credit using vineyard collateral, again, with my forged consent. I froze the bureau, pulled the file, highlighted every forged initial. Instead of confronting, I watched. I booked an extended stay in Dad's old farmhouse under the guise of grief gardening and installed discreet nest cams. I set my phone to vibrate every time Derek entered the office wing. Data logs piled like autumn leaves, timestamps, device IDs, keystroke captures. I stayed silent through family brunches, where Derek bragged about streamlining assets. I noted which cousins he charmed, which lawyers' names he dropped. At night, I practiced steady breathing, reminding myself rage is evidence's enemy. Then came the smoking ledger. In Dad's basement wine library, I found his tasting notebook, but sandwiched inside was a deputy clerk's receipt, recording fee for inheritance documents filed May 6, 3 days after the public filing freeze for estate probate. Only authorized executors can file then, meaning me. Except on May 6, I was delivering a keynote in Chicago, recorded on livestream at 11:04 a.m., the exact minute the receipt claimed I signed at the county office. Suspicion turned to certainty. I booked a rush appointment with forensic document analyst Dr. Elena Odura. She examined the quitclaim deed, zoomed in on pixelated outlines invisible to naked eyes, and declared, "Your signature overlays digital vector artifacts, classic plotter replication." She gripped my wrist gently. "This is felony forgery, Mara." I stored the report on a hardware wallet, triple encrypted duplicates in cloud cold storage, and mailed one hard copy to my mentor at the Department of Financial Regulation. Paper cuts became surgical incisions. All the while, Derek kept texting about family unity, sending me laughing emojis and unsolicited Zillow listings for beach houses. I replied with neutral thumbs up, buying time. Because if Derek forged once, he'd forge again, sloppier each time. I intended to let him. Derek and I grew up among rows of Pinot Noir vines, but we tasted duty differently. I loved the numbers, sugar readings, fermentation temps, export margins. Derek loved the showroom, clinking glasses, promising distributors, future exclusives Dad never okayed. Dad tried to harness Derek's charisma, sending him to UC Davis Viticulture. Derek dropped out sophomore year after meeting venture capital friends who convinced him the real money was in flipping undervalued sunsets, boutique wineries ripe for brand repositioning. He returned with a leased Maserati and a stack of marketing buzzwords. I left for Northwestern, dove into forensic accounting, and eventually built a career indicting Ponzi scheme CFOs. Holidays at the vineyard turned into subtle chess matches, me citing prudence, Derek touting leverage. Dad mediated with Cabernet Reserve and weary eyes. The pivotal fracture came last October. Dad received an unsolicited buyout offer, $12 million, from a Napa conglomerate. Derek pushed him to accept. I urged patience. Dad chose patience. Derek disappeared to Tahoe for 2 weeks, returning with gambling debts that Dad quietly covered, but not before Derek raged about family dead weight. Still, Dad loved us equally. His final letter, dated March 29, outlined his dream: keep Clarkson Vineyard sustainable, invest profits into scholarships for migrant pickers' children. He trusted me to guard the mission. He trusted Derek to charm the tasting room visitors. Balance, he wrote, is the vine's secret. The power dynamics flipped when he died. As executor, I could freeze assets, but compassion stayed my hand. I assumed grief would mature Derek. Instead, he matured his signature tracing skills. He exploited my interstate commute schedule, forged documents at county offices that still recognized the Clarkson name, and leveraged his old intern badge at Westline to push loans through sleepy back office personnel. By forging my consent, he didn't just steal money, he threatened Dad's legacy charity clause. If ownership fractured, the scholarship endowment dissolved. My silence protected that clause. Confrontation too early might spook him into scorched earth liquidation. I needed airtight proof plus a legal choke chain. Derek loved spectacle. I would give him one under courtroom lights. So I cultivated patience like a vintner cultivates complexity. Stress the vines just enough, harvest at peak acidity, let fermentation finish behind locked doors. Today's reading of the will is my harvest moment. Derek thinks he's unveiling victory. I'm unveiling motive. His whispered brag was the final timestamp I needed. Admissible admission under California Penal Code Section 470. When the lawyer passes me the updated inheritance packet, I flip pages slowly, noting the faint odor of fresh toner. I sign nothing. Instead, I ask for coffee, leave the room, and slip into the adjacent copy bay where my portable scanner waits. 30 seconds later, high-resolution PDFs upload to Dr. Odera's secure server for ink dating analysis. Returning, I fold my hands, meeting Derek's puzzled stare. Cousin Leela whispers, "Are you okay?" I nod and smile. Calm people document. Outside, my rented Jeep houses a locked briefcase. Forensic reports, surveillance stills, bank query logs, and an unsigned petition to the Superior Court for removal of a fraudulent heir. Tonight, I'll meet attorney Javier Ramos, specialist in inheritance fraud, at 7:45 p.m. sharp. Tomorrow morning, county detectives will receive my evidence binder with a fresh cup of vineyard roast coffee. The investigation begins, in full legal daylight, right after Derek clinks a toast to his forged triumph. And when the gavel eventually falls, It will echo through every empty barrel he tried to sell. I spend the afternoon mapping Derek's paper trail the way a vintner traces vine roots after a drought, probing for hidden rot. At 3:12 p.m. I park outside the Sonoma County Recorder's Annex. Gray stucco, one humming HVAC unit, three security cameras pointed everywhere except the side staff door. My blazer pocket carries a warrant-strength but perfectly legal request. California Public Records Act Section 6253. Inside, fluorescent lights buzz like hornets. I greet Miss Padilla at the counter, sliding across a Form 74 request for every document filed under Clarkson Vineyard Holdings between March 29 and May 30. She frowns at the volume, but a crisp $45 rush fee persuades the printer to churn. While the copier spits, I note a bulletin board flyer advertising, Save the Redwoods Fun Run, June. I will remember that date. Stacks of deeds, liens, and amendments pile hip high. I slip on nitrile gloves, small theatrics for Miss Padilla's benefit, and scan each page with my portable CZUR lens. Derek's forged signature pops on 12 separate filings, all notarized by the same stamp. No. 1427, Jack H. Etoli. I zoom in, the notary's stamp bears a faint ring of toner overspray. Digital, not embossed. California Business and Professions Code requires raised seal notary stamps since January 1 this year. And Jack Age. Tolley either owns time travel tech or never existed. I ask Miss Padilla, is Mr. Tolley on duty? She checks a roster. We don't have anyone by that name. I pretend casual surprise, but inside adrenaline flares. Each bogus notarization adds another count of felony per Penal Code Section 115. 4:05 p.m., I drive 14 minutes to Westline Private Bank's Santa Rosa branch. Lobby glass gleams, Derek's Maserati sits in the VIP slot, license plate W1NEBRO. I snap a time-stamped photo. Inside, I request a meeting with loan officer Clayton Price, citing Regulation P rights as co-guarantor. Clayton, thin mustache twitching, leads me to a frosted glass cubicle. He pulls up the $2 million credit line file, password prompts. I produce my ID, Reg P requires you show me the executed documents, I remind calmly. He hands over the file. My signature decorates page 2 in blue ballpoint I never owned. I ask, mind if I borrow a pen identical to this? He obliges. I pocket the pen, trace evidence of Westline's contribution. Clayton sweats when I note the missing IP address log on their DocuSign audit trail. That's unusual, he admits. I thank him, request certified copies, and walk out before he calls compliance. By 5:18 p.m. I sit in Dad's dusty study, uploading scans to a cloud vault set with a one-time passcode. Each file auto-hashes under SHA 256, preserving evidentiary integrity. My laptop chimes as Dr. Alina Odera replies. Ink dating prelims confirm signatures younger than paper stock by at least 60 days. Proof ripens like late-season grapes. At 7:45 p.m. sharp, I meet attorney Javier Ramos at Café Silo, a converted barn lit by Edison bulbs that cast warm pools over reclaimed oak tables. Javier's reputation in inheritance fraud cases is mythic. County clerks supposedly flinch at his letterhead. He orders an Americano, then flips through my flash drive on his tablet. Every few swipes he murmurs, forged, holy hell, this one's bold. He pauses at the Westline DocuSign file. Loan fraud over $500K triggers federal bank statutes, he says. Your brother just upgraded himself from local scandal to possible FDIC headline. I lay out Dr. Odera's ink dating timeline, the missing embossed notary seals, the Nest Cam footage of Derek rummaging Dad's desk at 2:17 a.m. on April 9. Javier whistles. Chain of custody. Original SD card, sealed in tamper-evident bag. Stored in a fire safe. You'll have it tomorrow. He nods. We'll file a petition to suspend probate under Probate Code Section 850. That freezes all transfers and triggers a special administrator hearing. He sips coffee, then adds, but we need insider corroboration. Cue my second ally, Arjun Patel, former high school debate partner, now IT supervisor at the county recorder's office. I text Arjun a single emoji, a grape cluster. 15 minutes later, his reply pings. Meet server room at 9:30, backdoor. I leave Cafe Silo, heart pumping. At 9:28 p.m., I slip through the annex side entrance Arjun props with a copy of Linux Journal. He greets me with a grin and a static proof pouch. Access log since April, he whispers. Tolly's notary profile was created from an external IP tied to Derek's condo. Dummy account. His voice drops lower. I can testify the system requires municipal VPN. That account bypassed VPN via admin override. Someone with my credentials or higher. I thank him, slide the pouch into my messenger bag. He jokes, just invite me to the courtroom popcorn party. Final stop, Dr. Odor's lab. She waits in a white coat smelling of acetone and jasmine tea. Under spectrometer glow, she points to chemical curves. These inks come from a batch shipped May 12, after Mr. Clarkson died. Zero doubt. She hands me a notarized affidavit of her findings. By 11:45 p.m. I'm back in the farmhouse kitchen, assembling Javier's midnight Dropbox. Padilla's prints, Westline copies, Arjun's log files, Odora's affidavit, Nestcam MP4s. I double encrypt with AES-256 and email the bundle to Javier, CCing only myself and a blind escrow mailbox. Laptop clock flips to 01. Derek texts family brunch tomorrow. Thinking mimosas. I answer, wouldn't miss it. Bring the bubbly. My thumb hovers before sending. I add, and maybe your favorite pen. Then I lock the phone and let the vineyard night settle into its ancient hush. At dawn I jog row 23 of Chardonnay vines, rehearsing the plan like interval drills. Stage 1, legal throttle. Javier files the Section 850 petition at 8:30 a.m. sharp, serving Derek via certified mail and email to catch him mid-brunch. The petition requests immediate suspension of all probated transfers, appointment of me as temporary sole administrator, and a forensic audit of every transaction since Benjamin Clarkson's death. Stage 2, financial tourniquet. Simultaneously, Westline's risk unit receives a subpoena draft citing 18 U.S.C. Section 1344. They must freeze the $2 million line of credit within 2 hours or risk complicity. Stage 3, county cleanse. Arjun's signed declaration lands on Recorder Chief Linda Mayhew's desk, accompanied by an administrative complaint and press contact sheet. By lunchtime, she'll scramble to distance the office, likely voiding every Tolley stamped document preemptively, nullifying Derek's quitclaims. Stage 4, PR Vinecut. At 1 p.m., scheduled posts hit the Vineyard's social channels. A heartfelt video of me reading Dad's letter about scholarships, juxtaposed with county-certified news of fraudulent filings. The narrative sets: daughter fights to protect immigrant kids, greedy brother siphons funds. Sympathy stockpiles like harvested grapes. Stage 5, private showdown. Tonight, 7 p.m., family dinner at the main house. Cousins, aunts, Uncle Howard the retired sheriff. I will present Derek with Javier's cease and desist, allow him a lifeline, confess and renounce claims, or face DA charges. Dinner table optics ensure witnesses. Uncle Howard ensures immediate arrest if Derek loses composure. Stage 6, courtroom harvest. Superior Court hearing in 2 weeks. Javier predicts summary judgment voiding the forgeries, plus punitive damages under Probate Code Section 859, double the value of property taken by bad faith. That could bankrupt Derek before criminal court even begins. Every stage pairs legal teeth with narrative flavor. Dad used to say wine only matters when its story breathes. Derek's story will breathe in booking room air. 7:05 p.m. The dining room glows under a wrought iron chandelier. Gleaming platters of roast lamb steam beside rosemary potatoes. Derek enters late, Armani blazer crisp, charm dialed to 11. A family, he exclaims, arms wide. Let's toast new beginnings. He pours Mum Napa into flutes, handing one to Uncle Howard, who eyes the bubbles skeptically. I raise my glass, voice calm. Before we drink, a few housekeeping notes. Derek's smile tightens. Mara, can we not do business at dinner? This is family business, I reply. And Javier, seated at Dad's old mahogany end, slides a packet across the linen runner. Mr. Clarkson, consider yourself formally served. Derek laughs a brittle sound. You hired a lawyer now. And cute. He flips through pages, brow furrowing as the Section 850 petition title hits him. Petition to suspend distribution due to fraudulent acts, cousin Leela gasps. Aunt May sets down her fork. Derek's gaze darts around, seeking an ally. These allegations are wild. Fake notary. Seriously, Mara. I keep my voice level. Your Jack Toley stamp lacks raised seal required after January 1st regulation. We have recorder logs showing you created the profile from your condo's IP at 1447 on April 10. He blusters, IP logs can be spoofed. Arjun clears his throat. It's not mine. VPN handshake keys are unique. Unless you stole my credentials too. Uncle Howard rumbles, forgery of real property documents is a felony, son. Derek sets the papers down, tries a softer angle. Mara, I only expedited things because you were buried in grief and big city work. Dad wanted us both stable. Dad wanted scholarships for migrant kids, I correct. Your loan application diverted equity away from that fund. He rolls his eyes. The vineyard is a cash cow. Scholarships were a PR gimmick. Gasps blossom around the table. Aunt May whispers, Ben's dream was no gimmick. I produce the Nestcam still frame, timestamp shining like a neon verdict. This is you rifling through Dad's safe at 2:17 a.m., April 9. That's the original scholarship endowment file in your hand. Face flushing, Derek mutters, Photoshop. Dr. Odera, invited as Alina from the lab, speaks for the first time. Mr. Clarkson, the ink on your forged deeds matches a batch shipped May 12. Your father died April 3. Explain the temporal anomaly. Derek opens his mouth, shuts it. Sweat beads his forehead. He downs half his champagne. Fine, maybe I streamlined some things, but we're family. We can settle quietly. Javier replies, quiet settlements require good faith. Fraud eliminates that option. Derek slams the glass down, shards flying. You all think I'm evil. You let Dad chain us to dusty vines, while Napa conglomerates mint cash. I feel anger surge but leash it. Dad cultivated legacy over liquidations. You forged my name, risking criminal sentences and community trust for a fast exit. He scoffs, community trust doesn't buy Maseratis. Uncle Howard stands, badge glinting. Neither do prison wages. Derek Clarkson, you are temporarily detained for questioning regarding document forgery. Derek backs away, hands up. You can't arrest me at dinner. Not arrest, detain, Howard clarifies, stepping forward. County detectives want a word. Come peacefully. Derek's eyes flick to the patio door. For a heartbeat, I think he'll bolt. Instead, he slumps into a chair, shoulders sagging. Mara, please. We can fix this. I kneel to his eye level. Confession and restitution. Tomorrow morning. Otherwise, Javier files the criminal complaint by noon. Tears, well, real or rehearsed, I can't tell. You'd ruin your brother. And he whispers. You ruined yourself, I answer. I'm just documenting. Howard escorts him out, hand gently guiding the elbow. The room exhales. Aunt May brushes a shard of glass into her napkin, voice trembling. Your father would be proud you protected the vineyard. I want to believe that, but I feel no triumph, only the weight of vines heavy with unpicked fruit. Phase 1 complete. The harvest of consequences begins at dawn. Sunrise lays a pewter sheen over the vineyard when my phone vibrates with Javier's first update. Westline's compliance division froze Derek's credit line at 7:43 a.m. A minute later. An internal memo leaks online. Local business blogger Rana Kim tweets a screenshot tagged #forged fortune, writing, "Bank pulls plug on Clarkson siblings' shady loan." By the time I finish steeping Dad's favorite orange pico, 3 regional outlets quote her thread, and Derek's name trends beneath yesterday's baseball scores. I head to the county courthouse, boots crunching gravel that used to hum with harvest trucks. Reporters already gather. One thrusts a mic. Miss Clarkson, any comment on your brother's detention? I keep walking, repeating, matter is with the court. The phrase feels cold on my tongue, but the evidence must speak louder than I ever could. Inside, clerk stations buzz, Argentex from the server room. Recorder voided every Tolley notary doc. Public notice in 1 hour. That single act amputates Derek's claim to land he tried to flip. At 9:06 a.m., my inbox dings with the unsigned purchase agreement he'd been circulating, now worthless because the deed it relies on no longer exists. The buyer, a Napa conglomerate called Terravint, CCs a lawyer demanding immediate return of its good faith deposit. Derek probably spent that deposit on the Maserati's carbon fiber spoiler. I step outside for air. Vineyard manager Esteban calls. His voice shakes. Senorita Mara, distributors are canceling the fall allocation after reading the news. The vineyard's cash flow was tight even before Derek's escapades. I picture picking crews waiting on payroll. Hold steady, I tell Esteban. I'll issue a statement this afternoon clarifying the vineyard's future. Payroll remains priority. He exhales audibly. Gracias. The men trust you. By noon, local radio hosts debate whether Derek will face jail time or slap on wrist white-collar probation. One caller snarls, lock him up. People like him think signatures are just scribbles. I sit in Dad's study, windows open to birdsong, reading think pieces about inherited entitlement. Each mention of Derek's name pairs with the phrase forged signature, like tannins pair with oak. Reputational ruin, domino one has tipped. My email pings again. Javier forwards me a DA inquiry letter, requesting full evidence packet in anticipation of filing criminal charges under Penal Code Section 470 and 115. They reference my surveillance videos by hash. The system is finally cranking its gears around Derek, but momentum must continue, or wheels will grind short of justice. At 2:15 p.m., Derek calls from a temporary release cell. Mara, they're threatening to charge me federally if I don't cooperate. You have to bail me out. Shuffling metal echo. I keep my voice level. The vineyard can't use scholarship funds for bail. He scoffs. In scholarships, we may lose the entire property if Terravent sues. I answer, we lose nothing if you sign restitution and renunciation tonight. His breath hitches. You'd leave me with nothing. Not nothing, I say. You keep your freedom if you move quickly. He curses, then whispers, I need time. Time is exactly what he squandered at the copying machine. I end the call. 30 minutes later, Javier texts, Judge-approved emergency protective order. Derek barred from accessing vineyard premises or financial accounts. I stare out the window at rolling vines, imagining them exhaling relief as the legal quarantine circles ever tighter around their would-be auctioneer. Early evening, fog creeps through vine rows when a sleek Audi pulls into the gravel lot. Hazel Laurent, Terravint's acquisition director, strides toward the farmhouse. Last month she toasted Dad's Cabernet at a charity gala. Tonight her jaw is set like granite. I meet her on the porch. Mara, she says without pleasantries, our board demands an explanation for this forged deed fiasco. Her French polished nails drum the railing. I keep my posture open. We're victims, too. Derek acted without authority. The county voided every fraudulent filing, so your deposit will be returned via escrow tomorrow. Hazel's lips flatten. Our lawyers project reputational damage. Terravint prides itself on ethical acquisitions. This scandal splashes mud. She hands me a letter of intent, withdrawal of offer and threat of civil action. A camera flash pops from the driveway. Blogger Rana Kim leans over a telephoto lens. Hazel hisses, media circus. I lower my voice. If Terravint sues, headlines shift from Derek's forgery to your company bullying a widower's legacy vineyard. Trust me, I know PR ratios. A Hazel flinches. I step closer. Work with us instead. Sponsor the scholarship fund Dad envisioned. It turns your brand from opportunistic to restorative. She studies me for a long breath. Send a proposal, she says, then pivots back to her Audi. Rana's lens follows. I make sure to wave, letting the flash capture Hazel's thoughtful expression. Inside, Aunt May scrolls Facebook. Some cousin from Utah posted you froze Derek's accounts. Comments are ugly. Oh, I sigh. Social media loves villains and martyrs. Nuance bores them. At 7 p.m. I film a short clip in Dad's tasting room. Bottles form a cathedral behind me. I speak plainly. Forged documents hurt families and community workers. Clarkson Vineyard remains committed to scholarships and ethical winemaking. I end with Dad's handwritten line, glare visible. Balance is the vine's secret. Esteban posts Spanish subtitles. Within an hour, the clip garners 10,000 views and warms comment threads. Domino 2, community opinion, wobbles back into alignment. Secondary antagonists emerge online. Derek's college friend Carson tweets, she's framing him to steal Vineyard herself. Troll accounts echo. Javier warns, disinformation can taint jury pools. I send proof links to Rana. She threads receipts, quoting document hashes, calling Carson's theory grape-scented nonsense. Troll retweets evaporate like cheap wine in sun. But a subtler antagonist lurks. Westline's internal counsel emails Javier, hinting they may challenge our subpoena citing privacy concerns. Translation, they fear liability. Javier replies with FDIC citation and drafts a press release titled Bank Stonewall's investigation into forgery scheme. 10 minutes later, counsel caves. Domino 3, financial Stonewall falls. 2 weeks later, the Superior Court resembles a beehive in midsummer. Buzz of voices, scent of institutional coffee. Today's hearing will decide whether Derek's assets stay frozen and whether I retain sole administrative control. Courtroom C is packed, half vineyard workers in stained boots, half local investors in blazer over flannel. Judge Martina Ortiz enters, robe swishing. Case 19 PR 773, Clarkson Estate, petition to suspend distribution. Gavel tap. She turns to Javier. Counsel, present your evidentiary highlights. Javier moves with measured precision, like a sommelier uncorking vintage proof. He projects Arjun's recorder logs, time-stamped IP addresses, then overlays Derek's condo utility bill placing him at those IPs. He plays Nest Cam footage of safe burglary, Dr. Odora narrating chemical ink curves. The gallery murmurs each time evidence stacks like oak barrels in a cellar. Judge Ortiz asks Derek's attorney, Frank Rowe, "Counsel, do you contest these forensics?" Rowe, sweat glistening at the hairline, stands. "Your Honor, we request additional time for independent analysis." Ortiz raises an eyebrow. "Mr. Rowe, your client had ample notice." Rowe stammers, the scope expanded, bank records, server logs. Ortiz interjects. That expansion is a direct consequence of alleged forgery. Motion for continuance denied. Rowe sighs, shift strategy. We assert Mara Clarkson used undue influence over estate staff to manufacture evidence. A gasps ripple. I remain still. Javier steps forward, taking them in order. Miss Clarkson was 2,000 miles away at her employer's compliance summit during first contested deed filing, livestream attached, with Bureau of Weights and Measures timestamp. As for undue influence, recorder staffer Arjun Patel is present with chain of custody documents detailing every digital artifact. We invite cross-examination. Arjun stands, lifts his hand, testifies. System logs immutable by design under Gov Code Section 12168.7. I simply exported them. Rowe declines cross. Judge Ortiz jots notes. A larger screen lowers. Westline's DocuSign audit trail. Javier narrates. Audit line shows guest user logged from external IP 68.43.11.90, associated with Derek's condo. User agent, macOS Safari 14.0, at 3:12 a.m., well outside banking hours. He clicks to next slide. Westline compliance memo acknowledging oversight and accepting liability. Murmurs swell louder. Rowe tries final gambit. Your Honor, even if forgery occurred, Penal Code Section 115 requires intent to file false document knowing it to be false. My client believed forms authentic because a notary, Tolley, verified them. Javier pounces. Tolley never existed. My client's expert, Dr. Odora, will testify the notary seal was printed on an Epson Eco tank after January's raised seal mandate. Odora steps forward, mild voice slicing the room. Thermal imaging confirms zero emboss pressure. Ortiz nods. Then the coup, Hazel Laurent, subpoenaed as hostile but surprisingly cooperative, takes the stand. She recounts negotiations. Mr. Clarkson promised Terravent unencumbered deeds. When I asked about co-heir consent, he said, "My sister will sign anything for a percentage." He emailed a PDF, evidently bearing her signature. Javier displays the PDF. Judge Ortiz raises the magnification bar, noting the pixel-perfect loops. Row objects hearsay. Ortiz overrules. Statement qualifies as party admission. Hazel continues. Last week Miss Clarkson proposed a scholarship partnership. Terravent trusts her stewardship. Row grimaces. The community workers nod. Closing statements. Rowe pleads for partial thawing of assets so Derek can mount a defense. Javier counters, defendants who create fires don't get unfrozen matches. Ortiz closes the binder with decisive thunk. Her ruling delivers in measured paragraphs, yet each sentence severs Derek's schemes. All disputed deeds nullified. Derek's personal accounts frozen pending criminal proceedings. Mara Clarkson affirmed as sole interim administrator. Estate required to fund payroll and scholarship pilot immediately, supervised by court accountant. Ortiz's final words: fraud poisons inheritance, the antidote is transparency. And gavel strikes. Rowe whispers to Derek, pale in county blues. Derek's shoulders slump, he glances at me. There is no rage in his eyes now, only baffled grief. I feel an unexpected pang, a memory of us stomping grapes barefoot as kids. But there is no vintage sweet enough to erase felony ink. Outside, flashing bulbs shouted questions. I stand at podium flanked by Esteban and Arjun. Today's ruling protects vineyard workers and honors my father's vision, I say. We'll focus on harvest, scholarships, and rebuilding trust. A reporter shouts, "What about your brother?" I inhale. Accountability is a family value, too. The crowd parts as deputies escort Derek to a transport van. He meets my gaze through the cage window, lifts his cuffed hands as if in surrender or plea. The van pulls away, taillights melting into late afternoon haze. Domino 3, legal authority, has crashed, echoing down every row of vines. I exhale, the weight of barrel rooms lifting from my chest. But I know fermentation isn't done. The truly volatile sugars remain: public perception, unfiled criminal counts, and Derek's capacity for desperate damage. Part 4 looms, promising either final clarification or explosive sediment release. For now, the must settles, and I walk the dusty path back to Dad's study where a fresh stack of legal briefs awaits my signature. This time, truly mine. Day 41 after the injunction, the vineyard hums with late summer cicadas, while Derek's world coughs apart like a rusted valve. At dawn, I'm filling payroll envelopes when Javier calls, voice vibrating with restrained glee. Setback 1 just landed. Westline filed a suspicious activity report naming Derek as sole originator of the forged loan. FinCEN accepted it at 6:03 a.m. They'll alert DOJ within 72 hours. I glance at Dad's portrait above the roll-top desk. One barrel cracked, I mutter, signing the last paycheck. Outside, pickers unload crates of Sauvignon Blanc grapes. The air smells of melon and grass, life moving forward. 3 hours later, Domino 2 quivers. Hazel texts a link. Teravant announces $2 million scholarship pledge to migrant workers' children. In the press conference, Hazel thanks Clarkson Vineyard for inspiring accountability, then slips in a sentence. Regrettably, Mr. Derek Clarkson's conduct stands contrary to these values. I watch Derek's follower count plummet in real time. His Instagram drops from 38K to 6K before lunch. Influence, the currency he cherished most, bleeds away like spilled rosé. Setback 3 arrives with sirens. I'm cataloging reserve bottles when Uncle Howard radios. Federal marshals en route. DOJ unsealed an indictment: wire fraud, bank fraud, aggravated identity theft. I step onto the porch as black SUVs rumble up the dusty lane. Derek, free on bond, is on the lawn in gym shorts yelling into a Bluetooth headset, likely begging Carson for a couch. The marshals fan out. Derek Clarkson, federal warrant, one announces. Derek's knees buckle. He turns to me, voice ragged. Mara, tell them it's a family misunderstanding. I shake my head. Family misunderstandings don't get filed in federal court. Steel clicks around his wrists, afternoon sun glints off cuffs. The vineyard crew pauses, hats in hand, watching the arrest like a thunderstorm they knew was coming. That evening, a Reuters banner reads, Sonoma heir arrested in forged deed scheme, scholarship fund emerges victorious. Under the headline, a stock photo shows our vines backlit in gold. Dad would have loved that light. Trial begins December 14 in the oak-paneled Federal District Court of San Francisco. The prosecution's chronology unspools like a crime documentary. Forged deeds, fictitious notary, laundered deposits. I testify second day, voice steady but heart pounding with every oath-bound sentence. Derek sits at defense table in an ill-fitting suit, haircut too short, eyes flicking anywhere except mine. Midweek, the twist. Westline's compliance chief takes the stand with an internal memo I've never seen. It's dated April 1, 2 days before Dad's death, detailing Derek's attempt to open a numbered offshore account in Belize using forged passports for both of us. The jury's collective inhale is audible. Derek's lawyer objects, but the judge allows it under Rule 404B, proof of intent. Derek's shoulders slump deeper. Defense pivots to plea. During lunch recess, they approach Javier and me outside the courtroom cafe. Derek's lawyer offers a deal: guilty plea on wire fraud and identity theft, dismissal of aggravated counts, 8-year cap, restitution of $4.8 million to estate. Javier tilts his head at me, decision time. Derek stands behind counsel, eyes red, lips whispering, please. I remember us at 15, racing dirt bikes between rows, Derek shouting, loser buys root beer. A memory sweet as sun-warmed berries, but rot doesn't ferment into wine. I nod once. Acceptable, Javier says. Back in court, Derek stands, voice quavering as he pleads guilty. The judge accepts, sets sentencing for March. She reminds him restitution is mandatory under 18 U.S.C. section 3663A. Derek's pen scratches his name on the plea. For the first time, the signature is truly his. Yet one last clause turns the screw: Javier's addition to the civil settlement. Derek must transfer his 20% stake in Clarkson Vineyard to the Scholarship Trust in perpetuity, ensuring he never profits from the place he tried to sell. He gasps, lawyer whispers, but the alternative is trial on aggravated identity theft. He signs. Papers file. The vineyard is free. Outside, press swarm. I read a short statement. When you sign your own betrayal, don't be shocked when karma notarizes your downfall. We now return to harvest. Cameras click like crickets. Someone asks, do you forgive your brother? I answer, accountability first, forgiveness later. Both take time to mature like wine. Spring blossoms when Derek is transferred to Lompoc Federal Correctional. I receive a letter scrawled on commissary notepad. He apologizes for betraying Dad's vision, encloses a sketch of 2 vines intertwining. I read it on the winery balcony, March sun warming cedar rails. I feel sorrow, but also the solid weight of reclaimed legacy. Under court oversight, the Clarkson Scholarship Trust fully funds its first class. 12 children of vineyard workers receive laptops engraved with a vine logo, and the phrase balance is the vine's secret. Esteban's teenage daughter, Rosa, cries when she opens hers. Her mother, Marisol, squeezes my hand. The scholarship ceremony fills the barrel hall with laughter that echoes off French oak staves. In July, we bottle the inaugural Legacy Blend, profits earmarked for the trust. Terravint buys a distributorship tranche at fair price, marketing the story as ethical terroir. Sales orders eclipse projections by 40%. Each label bears a discreet seal, a gavel entwined with a grape leaf. Nights, I walk the rows lit by moonlight, hearing distant frogs and the ticking of irrigation valves. I whisper thanks to Dad, to the soil, even to the hard lessons Derek's betrayal carved into me. Revenge tasted sharp at first, like tart malic acid, but after months of transparency, reimbursement, and community healing, the flavor mellows into something richer. Self-worth aged in integrity barrels. When I speak at the local high school about fraud prevention, I end with the same line that opened this saga. I watch students grin as it lands. When you sign your own betrayal, karma always notarizes your downfall. They applaud, some laugh, but I see understanding spark behind their eyes. A lesson noted.
Thanks for watching the video. Tell us in the comments, did Mara serve justice or just dessert? Share your own stories, and if you enjoyed this story, hit subscribe.